Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by Thomas Cathy. We had just seen Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson in Dallas, Texas. Thomas, thanks for joining me. It's late where I am. I know it's not quite as late where you are, but still kind of still getting late. Bit of a sad affair. The fight went the distance. Jake Paul obviously won via unanimous decision, which is kind of was expected. Give me your general thoughts and feelings at this precise moment, please.
Well, at the end of it all, I'm just glad that Mike Tyson is on his feet and he didn't get knocked out or uh, just hurt really bad. It honestly, very bit of a sad night. I was kind of hoping, you know, that there was a bit of talk going in about like how seriously both guys were going to take it or whether or not it was scripted. And I wanted to see a real fight going in, but like as it was playing out, I was like, man, I almost would have wanted to see a scripted event rather than this. I mean, it was just really sad. It looked like Mike could barely move around.
Yeah,
It looked like maybe something was going on with his knee. I'm not sure. Perhaps he was just tired or just simply old. But yeah, dude looked his age in there tonight for sure. And I will say, Jake Paul, uh, he was in there against a 58-year-old man, but he's shown that he's developing some boxing skills. Not wouldn't say he at a high level or anything like that, of course, but he's showing some improvement. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's I wondered why people were even excited to see this fight, and yeah, it kind of just played out um, how I had imagined it, frankly.
yeah, for sure. It was a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. I think I was surprised going into this fight how many people thought Mike Tyson was going to win. I just think it doesn't take a genius to work out that it's not the Mike Tyson from 30 years ago. It's not the Mike Tyson from 20 years ago when he was still retired 20 years ago. I'll share your sentiment in the sense that I'm just glad that nobody, Mike Tyson, didn't get hurt because I think that could have happened tonight quite easily. I think his movement was just pretty poor. I thought the first couple of rounds it was more competitive, and then I just thought after rounds two and three, like Tyson kind of didn't have anything left. It was looking, I was just so glad the rounds were 2 minute rounds because Tyson could kind of just, I don't want to say hug his way out of the rounds, but when it's 2 minute rounds, when you're an experienced fighter, you can do what you have to do to kind of get through. Where that's a bit harder when it's a 3 minute round. What do you make of the idea of Jake Paul basically carrying Mike Tyson? Thomas, I thought he held back on a lot of bases. You got to remember this is a guy who nearly all of his wins have come from a stoppage. Jake Paul. Yeah, give me your thoughts on that statement.
Yeah, man. It's funny you mentioned that. I was, watching the fight out there with some friends and um yeah, I suggested the same thing. I was like, does anybody else think that maybe Jake Paul is kind of carrying Mike Tyson a little bit here? Because in like the second or third, the third round, when Jake was really opening up, I was like, oh man, like I don't want to see where the rest of this is going to go. And then the rest of the rounds after that, it seemed like Jake definitely took his foot off the gas pedal, pushed again in the last round for the knockout, it seems. So I was like, maybe, maybe he's not carrying him, but the rounds preceding it definitely seemed like he took his foot off the gas and was probably trying to carry Mike, to be honest. And like I'm kind of glad he did, because I was not trying to see Mike Tyson get knocked out, man.
No, no, for sure. I think Jake Paul, I think he's an interesting guy. I think he says a lot of crazy things, but I actually don't think he's stupid, and I think he knows that if he had brutally knocked out a 58-year-old Mike Tyson tonight, it would have been a pretty poor look for him, and he wouldn't have gotten kind of credit for it. So yeah, he did. I think he did the right thing, but in my opinion, especially kind of the last three rounds, he just like kind of really didn't do much at all. There kind of wasn't much action there, but yeah, thank God he did do that rather than kind of just go for a knockout. I think another factor is Jake Paul. Look, he would won pretty much every round. If you're in an 8 round fight and at the end of 6 rounds you pretty much won every round, is there a need to go for the stoppage? Not necessarily when you can just kind of hold back like he did. Um, where Jake Paul's not going to go away. Thomas is going to continue to fight. What sort of direction do you think he's going to go in? Because he's fought UFC guys, he's fought a retired boxer, he's fought a current boxer in Tommy Fury. It feels like he could kind of fight anyone. But what do you think is going to happen in not necessarily in his next fight, but in his next kind of two or three fights? What do you see happening? If you've got any idea?
Uh, that's a really good question, to be honest, because I kind of felt like his entire career has been kind of leading up to a fight like this. So I was kind of curious as to what he was going to do next myself. I know in the past, he seemed to make an attempt at like trying to make a traditional come up in the cruiserweight ranks and you know stay active and fight like professional boxers. I don't know if he wants to actually go that route anymore. But I wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised to see him fight like a Conor McGregor or something like that. I think that Conor McGregor's career in MMA is, if it's not over already, it's just about over. And I think that should open up availability for him to make that fight happen. And um, yeah, I think that Jake Paul would probably look for a fight like that next, because that would be another giant event just like this one. So yeah, I would tune in.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout. I think one thing about Jake Paul, one of the reasons why he's got Mike Tyson in a ring and retired UFC fighters in the ring is because they're being offered very large sums of money that they've possibly not seen in their career. I think Nate Diaz has as an example. I don't think that's a bad shout at all, Thomas. I think Conor McGregor, he's having some legal problems at the moment, so we've kind of got to see what happens there. But he's still a massive name in world sports. There's been words between the two of them for 4 or 5 years now, I'm going to say. So, yeah. And of Conor McGregor also, he is not 58, he is in his 30s. So I just don't think, I think that's a possibility. And it would be another massive event if we're being honest. But we'll see. Jake Paul is, yeah, he's kind of gone up and down with who's the sort of people he's fighting. So we will see what happens next. Thomas, good to speak to you. Thank you for joining me, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Likewise, man. Thank you.